This video is for my #1 fan, and you can see him on a lot of he leaves comments on a lot of my videos. I'm not going to point him out. I don't want to embarrass him, but here it is. I hope this helps. He's going to be re-roofing his house. And if you re-roof a home, let's say you have cedar shingles or wood shake shingles, there's a good chance that you have space sheeting, and this would not be a solid surface. You need a solid surface in order to apply certain types of roofing materials like composition shingles. And if that's the case, a lot of times you need to cover it with plywood. And I'm going to try and provide you with a few things you might need to consider, or some of these things will make your job a little easier. But first thing I want to do is explain what spaced sheeting is. It's usually sheathing that is spaced a distance, and these distances vary. Usually you'll have some type of a decorative wood around the perimeter and then the spaced sheeting around the rest of the home. It's not uncommon to come to the ridge top and see 2 or 3 boards together also. The reason for the space sheathing is to allow the wood to breathe. Wood shingles, some wood products need air to circulate around them, otherwise they have problems, and I really don't exactly know what those problems are. I've never installed a cedar shingled roof. I've installed cedar shingle siding and shake roofs, but never cedar, and really don't know. I think it has something to do with the moisture and them expanding and contracting. This is what it would look like from underneath. So before I start the video, I wanted to give you an idea what the space sheathing is. Let's go ahead and install your first sheet of plywood. You can start at any corner. You can start wherever you feel like it, as long as you know how to install the sheathing or sheet a roof. Now, with the boards, you're putting the plywood over these boards. There are a few things we need to consider. And most building departments, you should always check with your building department to verify what they need, what their requirements are for a re-roof. And if you're not, you're just going to re-roof it on your own, then you better pay attention here, because this is what a lot of people want. When I first started doing these re-roofs, we didn't have to lap the plywood over the roof rafters. We did not need to nail the perimeter of the blocks that go around the building. We didn't even need to put boards in between, filler boards in between the breaks where the plywood where we couldn't nail the plywood. So the rules changed over the years, and I would imagine the last roof I did was probably at least 10 years ago minimum, probably more like 15 years ago, so the rules could have changed even further now. So if the sheathing breaks on top of a board, then it's going to be great, because you are going to need to nail the perimeter. The sheathing requirement is usually the same as a regular roof when you're nailing plywood or OSB sheathing. Now, a long time ago, like I said, the break on the plywood could have just landed anywhere. Now they want the plywood break to break over the rafters. Here's a good example of what I'm talking about. The plywood or roof sheathing breaks half on the roof rafter. Give you an idea, and then of course you would need to nail it with the edge nailing schedule, whatever is required by the city also. After you have installed your first row of sheathing, you can start on your second row. Again, make sure that it's breaking half on each rafter. Looking nice there. But we're running into a problem here. The plywood here is not breaking on one of the spaced sheathing boards. And if this is the case, you will usually need to install a filler board. And again, this would all depend upon the city requirement, because you're not going to be able to get the proper nailing if you don't have a board here that you can nail to. I mean, if you were just to nail into the plywood here without a board, and you're just going to pull it into the rafter, you're not going to have a flat surface. Your roof might not look very good if you do something like that. So I would recommend installing a filler board. Okay, the roof is done. Let's go ahead and take a look at what it would look like real fast. Go around the ridge, shoot over to the other side. There we have that. And then, of course, this. Now, the first thing I'd like to talk about is what's usually required for the nailing, and that would be that the perimeter or the diaphragm of the roof needs to be nailed with the edge nailing. So a lot of times, if you have a 6 and 12 nailing schedule, that would be 6 inches on center nailing around the perimeter, 6 inches on the ridge, not around the plywood at the tops here. This wouldn't be considered it, but the edges would be. You would need to make sure the edges of the plywood, where they break over the roof rafters, are nailed at the edge nailing schedule, whatever that is. And like I said, if it's 6 inches on center, then this would need to be nailed at 6 inches on center. And the blocks that run around the bottom also need to be nailed with the edge nailing. And if you have blocks. And again, the nailing for something like this, I would check with your local building department if you're pulling a permit. If you're not pulling a permit, then I would imagine 6 and 12 might be a nice schedule for you. You could follow kind of what I just said in the video here, but of course you would be doing that with your own discretion. I'm only providing you with some information. What you do with that information is totally up to you. So there it is for this video. I hope it helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment area. And for those of you who have been leaving me the thumbs up on my videos, it seems like I have a steady supply. It stops at about at a certain number. I thank you. And for those who aren't, hey, come on, let's get on board and start thumbs up in these videos.